Hello, team players. So, PaizoCon was just this last weekend, so it's time to talk about new Starfinder stuff. Let's dive in. So the first thing they talked about is the new adventure path, Secrets of the Swarm, which is a level 6 to 10 adventure, and it has new swarm monsters in that book. But what they really wanted to talk about was the new Absalom Station book, which has new archetypes and new neighborhoods of Absalom, as well as new ancestries, including an ooze/nail ancestry that they talked about, which they said can incorporate items into their shell, which is pretty nice, actually. They've also got new faction info and where you can sleep in Absalom, as well as new events and transportation in Absalom. They also have an NPC archive and a couple new factions that they didn't mention: the Ghost Carriers and the Psychic Detective factions. They also talked a little bit about the ghost levels in Absalom, and there's a couple pages of that in this book, and apparently not everything makes sense there. So, I don't know. You guys can let me know more about that. I'm not familiar with that particular lore. Then we got to the tech core, which of course has the full versions of the mechanic and the technomancer, as well as two new ancestries, SROs and living holograms. For living holograms, think the Doctor from Star Trek Voyager. They've also got lots of new equipment in this book and new companions. They also have the final versions of starship combat in that book, and customizable weapons above level 0, as well as new archetypes in this book. And they've changed how modify works. Now you can modify more than one item per round, meaning you can use it on allies as well. They've also got new spells. I think the one they mentioned was summon quote-unquote Gundam. Not Gundam TM, but, and customizable starships in this book. They have 3 chassis, and you choose a chassis, and then you give it a battle station, and you can upgrade the battle stations with, generic stuff. And if you wanted like a mess hall, you could get it, absolutely. And you're gonna add abilities to these starships rather than their stats. And yeah, you're gonna have expansion bases that you can use for downtime activities. So the ship actually has an identity. And you can customize your escape pods as well. So that's pretty cool. And you can respec your starship at any port, but it does cost money. And they talked about the nanosite archetype that has 15 feats in it, and you use nanites to do crazy things, like heal or disintegrate people. Would be great with the android ancestry. He even talked about how you can make unarmed attacks with your nanites, and throw a wave at nanites in a cone to do damage. But you do need a +2 to con in order to take this archetype. So, not everyone's going to be able to take it. They also talked about the spell Summon Vehicle, which you can summon a forklift if you want, which can do a crazy amount of things. There's also a new item called Installed Weapons. They take up upgrade slots, but they allow you to basically install a weapon on another weapon. They talked about one where you can give a ranged attack to 2-handed weapons, which is just amazing. They also talked about one of the heritages for living hologram, the mascot here, living hologram. The living hologram heritages are all about what you were designed to do. So, it's the mascot living hologram, which means you were designed to be a mascot for some organization. Which they talked about the Let Me Hear You Cheer ability, which gives temporary hit points to your allies, and allies can use the reaction to get more temporary hit points. And they talked about Magitech ammunition. There's a lot of it in this book. For instance, there's the Robo Fist, which is literally rocket punch. I am not kidding. You conjure robotic fists and gives you an unarmed strike, and you can launch them. So yeah, literally rocket punch. You also have the combatives SROs, which SROs can take different shapes depending on what you were designed to do. And the combatant can take the shape of armor or weapons, and you can attach stuff to yourself to keep your hands free. And that's pretty much it that they talked about for Starfinder. If you guys enjoyed this video, you may like this other video I have on screen. And Make sure you check out the links in the description below for other ways to support me as a creator. Thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, teamwork is vital. It helps us solve problems.